Hi guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to read 2 Kings 3 to 11 and Proverbs 2 and Psalm 10. Let's start. In 18th year church by King Jehoram, son Ahab became king of Israel. The Samaritans told us, he dealt with evil and said, though not like his father Mother, for he put away the pillow of Baal that father made. Now there was a contest in Jerusalem was an evil, which he made it seem did not depart from it. And Misha king of the sheep, but he had delivered to the king of Israel 100,000 lambs and the wool of 100,000 rams. And when Ahab died, King of rebelled against the king of Israel. So King Jehoram launched out Samaria at the time, lost always, and he went and sent word to Joshua, King of Judah. The king of Moab was rebelled against him. Will you go with me to battle against him? He said, I will go. I am your my people, your people, my horses, your horses. They said, which way shall I march? Jehoram answered, by the way of the wilderness. So the king of Israel went with the king of Judah and the king of Edom. When they made a second tour of this march, just 7 days, there was no word for armor for the animals of father. And the king of Israel said, alas, the Lord called these 3 kings to give them to him. And Jehoshaphat said, is there no prophet of the Lord here, with whom we may inquire the Lord? And one of the king of Israel's servants answered, Elisha son of Shaphat is here. He poured water on the hands of Elijah. And Joshua said, the word of the Lord was with him. So King Israel and Joshua king Edom went down to, and Elisha said to King Israel, what have I to do with you? Go to the prophet to your father, and to the prophet to your mother. And King Israel said to him, notice the Lord has called these 3 kings to give them to him. And Elisha says, the Lord of hosts lives before him I stand. Know not that I have regard for Joshua king of Judah. I will neither look at you nor see you, but now bring me a musician play. And the Lord came upon him and said, thus says the Lord, I will make the dry stream full of pools. Thus says the Lord, shall not see no wind nor rain, but that stream bed shall be filled with water. So you shall drink, you, your livestock, and your animals. This is the light thing that's happened. You also get the Moabites into your hand. You shall take every fortified city and every choice city, and shall fill every good tree, and stop all springs of water, run every good piece of land with stones. Next morning, about the time of the offering and sacrifice, behold, water came from the direction of Edom to the countries filled with water. Then all the Moabites, the kings come out to fight against them, all who were able to put on off the youngest of elders, were called out and were drawn up at the border. And they rose early in the morning, and sun shone on the water. And the Moabites saw the water opposite them, and Israel was blood. And he said, this is blood. The kings surely fought together and struck one another down. And then Moab to his sword. And they came to the camp of Israel. So Israel struck the Moabites. They fled to him. And they went forward, striking the Moabites as they went. And they overthrew the season, and every good piece of land, every man threw a stone until it was covered. And they stopped every spring of water and filled it with good trees, till only stones were left in Kahesha. And a sling storm and attacked it. Then the king also the battles going against him. And they took with them 700 swords and to break through. Also the king and but they came not. So he took his oldest son of his his place and offered him for a battle offering of the war. And they came great wrath against Israel. And they withdrew from their tent to him. And the wife of one of the sons of the prophets cried to Elisha, you said, my husband dead, you know, you said, fear the Lord. You know, the creditor has come to take my 2 children to the estate. And Elisha said to him, what shall I do for you? Tell me what is in your house. And he said, your servant nothing in the house except a jar of oil. He said, go inside. Borrow vessels from all your neighbors, empty vessels, and not too few. And go and shut the door behind yourself and your sons upon to all these vessels. And no one will set aside. So she went from and shut the door behind herself and her sons. As she poured, they put the vessel to her. Then the vessel full, she said to her son, bring me another vessel. He said to her, there's not another, and the oil is fine. And she came to the man of God and said, he said, go sell the oil and pay your debts, and you and your sons can live the rest. One day Elisha went to Shun, where wealthy women lived, who urged to eat some food. So whenever he passed that way, he would turn there to eat food. And he said to her husband, help me, I knew this holy man of God who's continually passing away. Let's make a small room on the roof with walls, put it there for him, a table with chandelier. So whenever he comes to us, we can go in there. One day he came in and turned to his chamber and rested there. He said to Katie's servant, call the Shun, and he called his sister before, and he said to her, we'll go and sing out to her, see you take all this trouble, for us what's to be done for you. So would you have a word spoken on your behalf to come to the command and tell me? Yes, I dwell among my own people. And he said, what's that is to be done for the king? And he said, wash his next son and her husband's off. And he said, call her, and he called his sister in the door, and he said, at the season about this time next to you, you shall embrace the son. And he said, no, my lord, no, God, do not want to serve. And the woman could see, and she bought something about the time the father spake. And as Elisha said to him, the child he went to one day to his father among the believers. He said to his father, oh, my head, my head. And the father said to his son, give him to his mother, and he lifted him a burden to his mother. And the child son in 11 told me, and he died. She went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, and shut the door behind him and went out. And she called to us and said, send me one of the servants and one of the okay, I'll quickly go to man God and come back here. He said, why will you go to him today? Is neither new moon or Sabbath? And she said, all's well. She said, he said to herself, where's the animal one? And do you not slacken the face of me unless I tell you? And she said, I came to a man of God and Mount Carmel. And man of God saw it coming, and he had to go ahead and said, look, there's a Shun, and ran out once to meet her and said, it's all about the house, it's all about the child. He said, all's well. And she came to Hannah and did something, she called her to speak. He engaged the king to push away. The man of God said, leave her, for she's in bitter distress. And the Lord's hidden from me, has not told me. He said, did I ask my Lord for this? And they say, do not deceive me. And he said to Katie, tie up your garment, take my staff in your hand and go. If you meet anyone, do not greet it. If I am busy, do not reply, and lay myself in the face of the child. And the mother child said, Gehazi, yes, the Lord is yourself, very honorably. So there is a fault, Gehazi went on the head and laid the staff in the face of the child. There is no sound of life, the sound of life. He never returned to me, and his child, and the child is not waking. And at last she came to her, she saw the child lying dead on his way. So he went and shut the door behind him to them. And praying to him. And he went up and lay and troubled his mouth, his eyes, and his eyes, and his hands and his hands, and he stretched himself upon the flesh of the child. He became more. He got picking up water balance back and forth in the house. And then he stretched himself upon him, and the child sneezed 7 times, and the child opened his eyes. And he summoned Katie and said, Call the she of mine. So he called her, and she came to he said, Pick up your son. She came and fell at his feet, bound to bed, and she picked up her son, and then went out. And then while she came again to go, where was found away. Whereas family, as the sons of the prophets were seen before, he said to Sarah, Say, I have a large child, boys do for the sons of prophets. And the woman interfered together, has found one of them together from his lair for the long girth, came and cut them up into pottage stew. Now I know what they were, and they poured out some for them to eat. Oh, you know, the stew they cried. No man got his death in part, they could not eat of it. And they bring fire, and he threw into panzer. And some for the man, there eat, and there's no harm in the pot. The man came from Barcelona, and the man got by the first 20 years apart, and fresh years again his side. And as they give to a man, they make it. So said, How can I say this before 100 men? And so I give them to the men. And they may eat, for thus is the Lord. They shall have some left. So they said before they ate, man had some left, according to what the Lord. And Naaman commanded the army of the king of Syria, his great man, his master in high favor. His band the Lord had given victory to Syria. He was a mighty man of valor, he was a leper. And as soon as on one day raised a careful little girl from the land Israel, and she walked in Sarah's name as well. She said to her mistress, Would that my Lord with the prophets in Samaria, he would cure him of leprosy. So Naaman went and told his Lord. And so spake the girl from the land Israel. Then the king Syria said, Go now, send her back to King Israel. So he went, take with him 10,000 silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 changes of clothing. And then he brought the letter to King Israel. When this letter reached you, know that I sent you Naaman my servant, he may cure him of his leprosy. And then the king of Israel read the letter, and he tore his clothes and said, Am I God to come to make a life? This man sends word to me to cure man of his leprosy. I only consider and see how Stephen will quarrel with me. And then the Lord should have made God heard. The king of Israel torn his clothes. He sent to the king saying, Why have you torn your clothes? And then come now to me, and let me know that there's a prophet in Israel. So Naaman came with his horses and chariots and stood at the door of righteousness. I sent a messenger to her, and saying, Go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, the flesh shall be restored, then ye shall be clean. And Naaman was angry and went away, saying, Behold, I thought that ye would surely come out to me his name. And he called on the name of the Lord his God, and waved his hand in a place, including pure as a leper. I know abandoned far, but the Lord is Damascus, better than all the wars of Israel. Do not wash in the name, be clean. So he turned and went away in a rage. And his sons came near and said to him, My father's great word, the prophet spoken to you. And he not do it, as he actually said to you, Wash him clean. So he went and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to Mary. And then his flesh restored to like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. He turned to Mary, God, he was company, and he came and stood before. He said, Behold, there is no man God. And no God nor the earth but Israel. So it's 7 hours of himself. He said, As the Lord lives before him, I'll receive her. He has and take of your feast. Then the name is, If not, please let there be given to your son 2 meal words of earth. For now your son will not offer births, offering a sacrifice to any God. That Lord, in this manner make the law upon your servant. When we massacred to Hazarone to worship there, leaning on my arm, when I bow myself in the Hazarone, the law upon your servant in this manner. He said to him, Go in peace. When Naaman had gone from a short distance, Gehazi, servant of Elisha, and the man goes, See, my master spared his name and say, he did not accept him, and from his hand what he brought. And then the Lord says, I'll run after and get something from him. So Gehazi followed him. And Naaman saw someone running after him. He got to his chariot to meet him and said, Is all well? And he said, All is well. And master sent me to say, It has just now come to me from the hill country. I found 2 young men, the house of the prophet. He is good unto hands, so and 2 changes of clothing. And Naaman said, Be pleased to accept 2 changes, 2 tons. He urged and tied with 2 tons, sold in 2 bags, and 2 changes of clothing, and led them to his sons. He carried them before getting. He came to Herod, took them out of his hand, and cut them in his house, and sent them out, and they departed. And he went and stood before the master, and the last said to him, Where have you been, Gehazi? And he said, Your son went now. And he said to him, Did not my heart go when the man turned from his chariot to meet you? Was there a time to accept my income of watching vineyards, death, sheep and oxen, male servants and female servants? Therefore leprosy of Naaman shall continue to his son's forever. So he went out from his presence and leper like sin. The sons of Proverbs said to Elisha, See, the place where you don't, your charge is too small for us. Let's go to Jun, each of us get there. A log, and let's make a place for us to dwell there. And to go to one, so we are pleased to go to such. And so I'll go. So he went with it, and they came to Jun, they cut down trees. And while he was flying the log, his axe had fallen to wood, and he cried out, And that's my master was by. And the man of God said, What is it for? He showed the place he cut off a second door and they made iron fly. And he said, take it off. So he reached out his hand to it. Once when the king said his word against it, he took counsel sons, saying, at such and such place shall we encamp. Many gods don't way to the king, so beware that he do not pass the place. Your sins are going down there. And the king sent to the prince of which the many gods with it. He still wanted. And he saved himself there more than once or twice. And the mind of the king still was greatly troubled because of the thing. He called and said to him, will you not show who of us is for the king? And one son said, no, my lord king, but Elisha the prophet is news. So the king is the words they speaking of Edward. He said, go and see where he is, where his son season. And his time, and behold, he is in death. And so he sent out horse and chariots and great, and when they came by night to run sea. And some of the men of God rose early in the morning and went out behold, and armed with horse and chariots was all around sea. And the son said, alas, what shall I do? He said, do not be afraid, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, please open his eyes that he may see. So the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountains were full of horse and chariots of fire all around Elisha. And sins came down against him. Elisha prayed to the Lord, saying, you strike this people with blindness. So he struck them with blindness, and according to the prayer of Elisha. Elisha said, this is not the way, and this is not the sea. Follow me, I'll bring you to a man who can see. And he led them to Samaria. And as soon as they entered Samaria, Elisha said, Lord, open the eyes of these men. And they see, so the Lord opened their eyes and saw. And behold, they were in the midst of Samaria. As soon as the king saw, and he said to Elisha, therefore, shall I strike him down? Shall I strike him down? He answered, you shall not strike him down. Will you strike down those whom you have taken captive with your sword and with your bow? He said, bread and water before them. Let me eat and drink and go to the master. They prepared for them a great feast when they had eaten and drunk. He set them away, and he went to the master and said, Syrians still come again, or raiders in the land. After Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, mastered his entire army, went on the siege of Samaria. And there was a great famine in Samaria as they besieged it, and 2 donkeys' head was sold for 80 shekels of silver, and a fourth part of a cab of dove's tongue for 5 shekels of silver. And as the king of Israel was passing by the wall, a woman cried out and said, help my lord the king. He said, if the Lord not help you, how shall I help you? And the king let him fall from the winepress. And the king asked her, what is his trouble? And she answered, and this woman said to him, give us your son, then we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. So he brought my son 8. On the next day I said to her, give his son, and we eat him. She is in her son. And the king heard the words of the woman, he tore his clothes. And I was passing by the wall, the people looked, and behold, he had a sackcloth beneath his bone in his body. He said, may God do so to me and more, so therefore the heads of Elisha, the son of Shaphat, remains in shoulders today. Elisha was sitting in his house, and the elders were sitting with him. And the king dispersed the men from his presence. So before the messenger arrived, Elisha said to the elders, do you see how this murder is meant to take on my head? Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door and hold the door fast against him. His not the sound of his master's feet behind him. While still speaking against them, the messenger came down to say, they shows not the Lord, why should I wait for the Lord any longer? And Elisha said, hear the word of the Lord, thus says the Lord. Tomorrow about this time, see a fine flash shall be sold for a shekel, and 2 steers of barley for a shekel at the gate of Samaria. And the captain of his head, the king of said to me, if the Lord's soul should take me, when it is in hell, could this thing be? He said, you shall not eat the seed of death, and as you shall not eat it. And the 4 men who with lepers and anxious to the gate. He said to them, so he until we die. Here we say, let's enter the sea, the 5 minutes in the sea. We should die if we see, here we die. I said, it's not come, let's go to the camp of Syrians. If we spare lives, we shall live. And they kill us, we shall not die. So we rose and tried to go to the camp of Syrians. And they came to the edge of the camp of Syrians. Behold, there was no one there. The Lord made all the Syrians near, hear the sound of chariots and horses. So the ground was said to one another, behold, the king is hard against the king to hear us. And the king of Egypt to come against us. So the 5 women tried their band, and chariots and horses and donkeys, leaving the camps of us. And the 5 fell lives, and these lepers came to edges came. Went to attend and drinks, and carried off soul and gold, clothing, and men hid them. Came again to them to carry off things from them and hid them. And he said to one, no, you're not doing it. This day is the day of good news. If we silent wine to a wine, my punishment will overtake us. And if he'll come, let's go and tell the king's house. So he came and talked to the gatekeepers and see told them. He came to King of Syria, and behold, there was no one to be seen or heard there, but there were horses tied, and donkeys tied, and tents there, and the gatekeepers called out, and was told within the king's house. And the king arose and said to his sons, I'll tell you what the Syrians have done to us. And they were we hungry. Therefore they have gone out of the camp to hide themselves in their country thing. When they come out of the sea, they shall take their lives to sea. And his son said, lest some men take 5 of the remaining horses, and those who left you. All the will fail like a whole multitude as has already crashed. And the son of the sea, so they took 2 horses, and the king sent them after armies, and say, go and see. So they went after them as far as the door, behold, all the way was laid with garments and equipment that Syrians had done in their haste. The messenger returned and told the king, and he pointed out upon the camp of Syrians. So the sea fell with sold for a shekel, and 2 steers of barley for a shekel. And according to what the king appointed the captain whose hand he lay in charge of the gate. And he betrayed put him in the gate. So he died. The man God said, and the king came down to me. So when the man of God said to me, 2 seals of wine shall we sell for a shekel, and a seal of 5 for a shekel, that is 10 to 1 in the gates of Mary. And the captain answered the man God, if the Lord's house should make windows, who could such thing be? He said, you shall see what that is, but you shall not eat bread. So it shall happen to him, that he will try and put him in the gate, and he died. And then Elisha said to the woman, his son restored to life, and rise to poverty household. And his Joe wherever he can, for the Lord's called for a famine, will come to the land for 7 years. So the woman arose and did according to what the man got. And they went out to the house and sojourned in the Philistine 7 years. And after 7 years, when the woman returned from the land of Philistine, she went to appeal to the king for a house in the land. And the king was talking with Gehazi, servant of the man of God, and said, well, tell me all the great things Elisha has done. And I was telling the king how Elisha restored the dead to life. Behold, the woman whose son he had restored to life, appealed to the king for a house in the land. He said, my son, Lord, the king, who's the woman? He is the son whom Elisha restored to life. And the king asked the woman, she told him, and the king appointed an official for her, saying, restore all thou hast to give to all the produce of the fields from the day she has left the land till now. And Elisha came to Damascus. Men had a king Syria was sick. When he told him, the man of God come here to Hazael, take a present with you and go to meet the man of God, and cry to me the Lord to him, saying, shall I come from the 6th? Hazael went to meet him, and took a present with all kinds of goods and Damascus, 40 camels large. And he came and stood before him, and said, your son Ben had a king of Syria, sent me to say, shall I come from the 6th? And Elisha said to him, go say to him, you shall suddenly recover. The Lord showed me that he shall suddenly die. And he fixed his gaze and stayed on, and so he was embarrassed. The man of God wept. And Hazael said, why is my Lord weeping? He answered, I know the evil that you will do to the people. You'll send their fire out of their fortresses, and you'll kill the young men, so and dash in pieces their little ones, rip her from their pregnant woman. Hazael said, what is the servant who is but a little dog, that he should do this great thing? Elisha answered, the Lord showed me that you ought to be king over Syria. And he departed from Elisha and came to his master. He said to him, what did Elisha say to you? He answered me, he told me that he would suddenly recover. The next day he took the bedcloth and dipped it in water and spread it over his face till he died. And Hazael became king of his place. In the 5th year of Joram, son of Ahab, king of Israel, and Jehoshaphat was king of Judah. Joram, son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, began to reign. In his 32 years old, he became king, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem. And he walked in the way of the king's Ahaz, the house of Ahab, and the daughter of Ahab was his wife, and there was evil in the sight of the Lord. Yet the Lord was not willing to destroy Judah for the sake of David's son, because he promised to give the land to him and to his sons forever. In his days, Anna revolted from the Lord, Judah, separate king of David. And Joram passed over to Zael with all his chariots and bruised by night. He and all his chariot commanders struck and might surround him. As Ali fled hence, Anna revolted from the Lord, Judah's sister. And Libnah revolted at the same time, the rest of Acts and Joram. And all they died, they're not written in the book of Chronicles against Judah. And Joram saw his father was buried with the father and city of David. And his son reigned in his place. In 12th year, Joram son of Ahab, king of Israel. And his son Jehoram, king of Judah, began to reign. And he was 22 years old, he began to reign. He reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. His mom's name was Elisha, his granddaughter, Omri, king of Israel. He still walked in the way of the house of Ahab, and deal was even inside the Lord. His house of Ahab. As a house of Ahab, his son moved to house of Ahab. He remembered Joram, son of Ahab, to make war against Hazael, king of Syria. And both king of Syrians were in Joram. And King Joram returned to be hero in Jezreel, the women's sins of Gilead and Ramah, when he fought against Hazael, king of Syria. And Hazael's son and Jehoram, and King Joram, went down to see Joram, son of Ahab, in Jezreel, because he was sick. And Elisha the prophet called one of the sons of the prophet, and said to him, tie up your garments, take this flask of oil in your hand, go to Ramah with Gilead, only part of Uriah, and look there for Jehu, the son of Jehoshaphat, son of Nimshi. Go in and have him rise from among his friends, and lead him to an inner chamber. And take the flask of oil and pour it in his hand, and say, thus is the Lord. And when you king over Israel, open the door and flow your linger. So the man servant of the prophet went to Ramah with Gilead. And near came, beheld the commander's army. And when the he said, I have a word for your commander. And Jehu said, to which of the soldiers? He said, to you, your commander. So I rose into the house, the young man poured oil in his head, saying to him, thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, I anoint you king over the people of the Lord. Over Israel, you shall strike down the house of Ahab, your master. I will avenge on Jezebel the blood of my sons, the prophets, and the blood of all the servants of the Lord. And all the whole house of Ahab shall perish. And I will cut from Ahab every male, bond or free. And I will make the house of Ahab like the house of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha, son of Hijah. And the dog shall eat Jezebel in the territory of Jezreel, and none shall bury her in the blood of blood. When Jehu came out to the sons of his master, he said to him, is all well? Why did this man fellow come to you? And he said to him, do you know the fellow in his talk? He said, that's not true. Thou hast known. He said, tell us thus in severity. He spoke to me, saying, thus says the Lord, I know you king of Israel. And in haste every man then took his garment and put it under him on the best desk. And he blew trumpet and proclaimed, Jehu's king. Thus Jehu son Jehoshaphat son of Nimshi smiting against Joram. So Jehu said, this is your decision. Let no one slip out the sea to go tell the news in Jezreel. And Jehu went on his chariot and went to Jezreel. Joram lay there. And the king Jehu come down to visit Joram. And as a watchman was standing on the town of Jezreel, and saw the company, and Jehu the king said, I see a company. And Joram said, take a horseman and send to meet and say, let him say is a peace. So men on horseback went to meet and said, thus says the king is a peace. Jehu said, what have you to do with peace? Turn around and ride behind me. Watch one person, the messenger reached him. He is not coming back. He sent a second horseman. King Jun said, thus is the king. Thus the king said, is a peace. And Jehu answered, what have you to do? What do you have to do with peace? Turn around and ride behind me. And again the watchman reported he reached him. He's not coming back, and the jar was like the jar and his son there too. The jar's furiously, and Joram said, make ready. And made ready his child, and Joram came with his son, and the king just set out. Each his child went to meet Jehu, and made about the prophet, and now about the Jezreel. When Joram saw Jehu, he said, he's a peace Jehu. He is, all peace can never be, so long as the horns, the sorceries, and one of Jezreel so many. Then Joram made him about in front, saying to him, treachery or hands. Then Jehu chose bow with full strength, struck Joram between the shoulders. So the arrow pierced his heart, and he took the child. Jehu said to Bidkaz, I take him up, bow on the polygon, belong to now with the Jezreel. For remember, when you and I rode side by side, I had an aim saw how the Lord made his pronouncement against it. I showed us saw yesterday the blood now with them blood was on his clothes. I'll pay him his polygon, or that will take him and throw him on the polygon, and the columns with the word Lord. And he came to his as he went in the direction of Bethany, and Jehu pursued him and said, Sure, I said. And he showed him his trials and go which by blood. And he fought to make him die that he sent carried him in chariot to Jerusalem, burned in the tomb of his fathers and seed David, and left the Joram, son of Ahab, and he to the reign of Judah. And Jehu came to Jezreel, Jezebel had he penned out eyes and dawned her head and looked out of the window. And Jehu looked up the she said, Is it peace you did remember that your master? And he lifted up his face to the window and said, Who's on the right side? Who is 2 or 3 eunuchs lying down and he said, Third, I say third down, and some of us bound on the one horses, and he trampled on her. And he went in and he said, Has he not his castle in bread? She's the king's daughter, and then he went to her and scolded the feet of the palms of him as he came back and told me, he said, This is the word of the Lord, she spake by her son Elijah Tishbite. And the territory Jezreel, the dog straight to first in Jezreel, and the corner of Jezreel shall be down on the face of the field, and the territory of Jezreel. Said, No one can say this is Jezreel. Now Ahab had 70 sons in Samaria. But Jehu wrote letters sent to Samaria to all those towns, and guided the sons of Ahab, saying, And now then, as soon as this letter comes to you, sing your master's sons are with you. Know with your chariots and horses in the 4 or 5 cities, there is no weapons. Select the best and fierce your master's sons, send one as fast and fight for your master's house. And as a near your friend, and say, Behold, the 2 kings who could not stand before him. How then can we stand? So he was over the past, he was over the sea to cut thousands and God said to we are sons, and do all these tasks. We will not make it unclean. Do what is within your eyes. And he wrote to the second one, saying, You feel myself, you very too great. Take head your master's sons, come to you, Jezreel tomorrow at this time. And the king's sons, 70 persons, were of a great ministry who would bring them over. As soon as the letter came to them, they took the king's sons to the Lord of 70 persons, and put their heads in baskets and sent them to Jezreel. Messenger came and told them, they brought the heads of the king's sons, he said, Lay them 2 heaps at the entrance of the gate until morning. In the morning, and when he went out, he stood and said to all who be innocent, It was I who conspired against my master and killed him, who struck down all these. Know that they shall fall to you as nothing of the word of the Lord, which the Lord said concerning the house of Ahab, for the Lord has done what he said by servant Elijah. And Jehu struck down all who remained at the house of Ahab and Jezreel. And all his great men, his close friends, and his priests, and until he left none remaining. He set out and went to Samaria. On the way when he was at Beth-Eked, the shepherds, Jehu met the relatives of Hazi, king of Samaria. King of Judah, and said, Who are you? And they answered, We are the relatives of Hazi, and came down to the royal princes, sons of Queen Mother. And he said, Take the lyre, and took the livestock to the pit of Beth-Eked, 42 verses, and he departed from there. And Jehonda, son of Rechab, he met Jehonda, son of Rechab, coming to meet him. And he greeted him and said, Is your heart true to my heart, as one is yours? Jehonda answered, It is. So Jehu said, If it is, give me your hand. So he gave his hand. Jehu took along with him into his chariot. God made seem his zeal for the Lord. So he had him ride in the chariot, and came to Samaria, struck all remained in Ahab and Samaria. Until he wiped them out, according to what the Lord spoke to Elijah. When Jehu assembled all the people and said, Ahab said, But Jehu said, Now he called to me all the prophets of Baal, all the worshippers and all priests, let none be missing. Oh, I have a great sacrifice offered to Baal, who is Mr. Chandler. And Jehu did it with cunning and wanted to destroy the worshippers of Baal. And Jehu was sanctified Solomon son way for Baal. So and Jehu sent out also, and all the worshippers of Baal came, so there was no man to go into house of Baal. And the house of Baal was filled from one end to the other. He said to those in charge of wardrobe, Bring out the vestments for all the worshippers of Baal. They brought the vestments for and Jehu went to the house of Baal, which Jehonda son of Rechab, and to worshippers of Baal. Search and see that there is no servant of the Lord here among you, and only the worshippers of Baal. They went to offer sacrifice and burnt offerings. And Jehu stationed 80 men outside and said, The man who lost any of those who might go into his king shall forfeit his life. As soon as he had made an end of offering the burnt offering, Jehu said to God to officers, Go and strike them down, let not a man escape. And when he put them to the sword, the guard and officers cast them out and went into a room of the house of Baal. And they brought out the pillars in the house of Baal and burned it. They demolished the pillar of Baal and demolished the house of Baal and made it a latrine to this day. And Jehu wiped out Baal from his oath. Jehu did not turn aside from the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat. And when she made it as the golden calves that were in Bethel and Dan, the Lord said to Jehu, Because you done well in carrying out what was right in my eyes, and you done to Ahab, and you done to house of Ahab according to all that was in my heart. And his sons of false journeys shall sit on the throne of Israel. And he was not careful to walk in the law, regardless of rules, how no turn from sin to Jericho, which made such sin. In those days, the Lord began to carve parties. He had to feed them throughout the territories. And John Esau, the land of Gilead, as the Gad, as the Reuben, as the Manasseh, which is by the valley of the Honor, as Gid and Bashan, and the rest of Acts and Jehu and all they did. And all was well. Are they not in the book of Chronicles of Kings of Israel? So Jehu saw his fathers, and they buried him in Samaria, and Jehoahaz so in his place. The time that Jehu reigned over Israel in Samaria was 28 years. And Athaliah, the mother of Hazel, saw that, and son was there. She rose and destroyed the royal family. But Jehoshaphat, the daughter of King Joah's sister of Hazel, took Joash, son of Hazel, and to stone away from among the king's sons who were being put to death. And she put him in his nurse in a bedroom. After he hid from Athaliah, so it was not put to death. They reigned for 6 years, hidden in the house of the Lord, while Athaliah reigned over them. And 7th day Jehoiada sat and brought the captains of Karaites and the guards, and they come to him in the house of the Lord. And he came with them, put them on derricks in the house of the Lord, and showed them the king's son, and commanded, this thing you do, 1/3 of you who come up to you on Sabbath and guard the king's house, shall guard the house, and 2 divisions who come on force and duty on Sabbath, and guard the house of the Lord, half the king's shall surround the king. Each with weapons in hand, whoever presses the ranks of duty put to death. And to death, be with the king when he goes out and when he comes in. Captains do according to all the Jehoiada the priest command. And each groomsman who are to go duty on Sabbath, those who are to come on duty on Sabbath. And King Jehoiada the priest gave to captains spears and shields of King David. And who went the house of the Lord God's temple with weapons here. And Sasa house to the north side of the house. And ran the altar of the house before the king. And at the king's son and put the crown on him and gave him testimony. And king anointed him. Clapped the hands and said, Long live the king. And if I had noise of God, and another king, she went to the house of the Lord for 2 people. And she looked, there was a king standing by the pillar, according to custom, and the captain of the trumpeters beside the king. And all the people there rejoiced in him, blowing trumpets. And Athaliah tore her clothes and cried, trees, and Jehoiada the priest commanded the captain to say, and army bring her out between the ranks. And put her to death with sword. Anyone who falls over the priest, and let him not be put to death in the house of the king. She led him, and she went there, the horse, and she took his house. And she over to death, and Jehoiada made between all and the king and the people. And it should be the Lord's people. And it should be between the king and the people. And all the people of the land went to the house of Baal, tore down his altars and the images to break peace. And he killed Met and praise before Baal. The priest of Baal before the altars. And the priest perished to worship at the house of the Lord. He took the captains and the Karaites, the guards, and all the people there. And they brought the king down to the house of the Lord, marching through the gates of the guards of the king's house. They could see on the king's. And the people were rejoiced and sealed quiet after being Athaliah had been put to death, saw the king's house. Jehoash was 7 years old, he began to reign. Proverbs 2. And I say, if you see my word, treasure my commands with you, making an attempt to listen, incline your heart to understand. Yes, if all things are raised your voice once say, if you seek like so, and search for his hidden treasures, you understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge you go. The Lord gives the first mouth from the Lord to understand. So also sound wisdom of the Lord. See to the walk and terror, guarding the path of justice and watching the way of sins. You understand the way of righteousness. Way of his saints. You understand righteousness and justice and equity, every good path. Wisdom come to your heart. In order to deposit your soul, integration, or to understand what God is, delivering you from the way of evil, from manipulative speech. When you forsake the paths of uprightness, they walk in the ways of darkness, rejoice in doing evil, and delight in perverseness of evil. Many paths of crooked and devious in their ways. So be delivered from the forbidden wolf, and the adulterous with the smooth ways. If you forsake the companion of youth, then forget the covenant of the God. And it has things downstairs, and the paths to depart, none go to come back, nor do again the path of life. So you walk in the way of the good and keep to the paths of righteousness, for our own have the land. Those inherited will remain in. The root will be cut from the land, just will be rooted out of it. Psalm 10. Why, Lord, do you stand for? Why will you hide sometimes trouble in arrogance of the wicked? While they pursue the ball, let them be caught in the skins they devise. The wicked burst his eyes, so and the one greedy for gain curse and renounce the Lord. The pride face the wicked doesn't seek it. All his thoughts are theirs, and their God's whispers all times. Your judgments are on high, out of sight. Our walls first he puffs in them. He says in the heart shall be moved throughout generations, and shall not be adversity. He is not filled with cursing, and deceit and oppression. And this time is mystery and iniquity. He sits in ambush of the villages. And in hiding place meditates his star, skillfully watching helpless, and lurks in ambush like the lion is thicket. He has the missions by his face, when he draws into his neck, helps him crush him down for the right side. He says in the heart of God's forgotten, he is in his face, he will see him. And it's the eyes of the Lord, lift your hand, forget not the afflicted. And why does the wicked renounce God, saying in his heart, you are not called to him, but you do see, if you make mischief and vexation, you take into to the helpless commits itself, you in the help of the fathers. You the arm of the wicked and evil though, and cause wickedness to account until you find them. And those came forever, and nations perish from the Proverbs you hear the side of you'll shake your heart, you'll incline your to do just to falsely press. To men of the image like terror no more. Now astonish not the Lord's prayer, please by his Father, now highly name again, call me John of his heaven. These are day of good justice, God in depth. These not hesitation, but others leave one. He was the king, pound the growth of armor, and seek to work by.